here's my problem. When I see a sinner more willing to give than a so-called Christian, I'm wondering about your salvation. I'm wondering about the God you say you serve. Why? Because you're stingy. And one thing I know about my God, he is not stingy. Look at your neighbor and say, God ain't stingy.
Thank you, Jesus. Hey, and let God. You gotta and let God. Don't worry about it. And let God. Cast your burden and let God. Let God do it. Let God do it. Let God do it. Let God do it. Don't worry about it. You gotta let him do it. Don't cry about it. You gotta let him do it. While you're staying up all night. While you're worried about it, you can't work it out. Let God do it. Let God do it.
1 Timothy 6, verse number 17. And we're going to look at verse number 18. 1 Timothy, the New Testament. I'm reading out the New King James Version. 1 Timothy 6 and verse 17. This is what Paul writes to Timothy, who is a pastor, Paul being an apostle. He is Timothy's spiritual father. And notice what he says to Timothy. He said, command those who are rich in this present age not to be haughty. Haughty having to deal with being high-minded or prideful. And how many know sometimes folk who have a lot can be prideful? They can be high-minded. Oh, Lord, didn't get me an amen. I said some folk who have a lot or who are rich, some can be high-minded. Listen, not all. Not all. Not all. Everybody who's rich is not bad. Come on. I know some of you, I hate rich people. See, now you hating me. Come on, don't hate me. I ain't did nothing to you. You up here hating me. You know. Pastor, I didn't know you were rich. Yeah. See what I'm trying to tell you? You be hating rich folk, don't even know rich folk. But he did tell Timothy to command those who are rich in this present age not to be haughty. And of course, God teaches you as he's bringing you from poverty to being rich. He teaches you how you shouldn't be haughty. You shouldn't have a high mindset. Come on, some of them, when we had a little, God was teaching us. He was getting our attitude right. He was preparing us for much. Come on. That's reason now you can be in the big house, but you still, come on, you still humble. You just as humble as you was in what? The little house. No, let me start over. Command those who are rich in this present age not to be haughty, nor to trust. Notice something about riches, in uncertain riches. See, it's all right to have money, but don't put your trust in money. Don't put your trust in riches because they're uncertain. But we need to trust in the living God. Notice something about God who gives us richly all things to what? Enjoy. Don't you love that about God? That he gives us richly or in abundance or plenty that we might what? Enjoy. I'm already teaching good. This verse teaching itself. Command those who are rich in this present age not to be haughty, nor to trust in uncertain riches, but in the living God who gives us richly all things to what? Enjoy. So see, if you fight in abundance or having a lot, you actually fighting God. Because it is God who gives us, again, richly, how many things? How many things? That we might what? Enjoy. If God is giving you something today, do you know he wants you to enjoy that? He don't want to give you anything that's going to stress you out. If God gave it to you, he wants you to enjoy it. He wants you to enjoy it. Amen? Now notice verse 18 said, let them do good, that they be rich in good works, ready to give, willing to share. See, the rich folk that got abundance, plenty, Folk doing well. Let them do good. Do what? Do good. So you can be rich and do what? Good. It's all right for me to have a lot, but I need to do what? Good with it. I don't need to do bad with it. I need to do good with it. Let them do good that they be rich in what? Good works. When it comes to good works, I want to be doing plenty of good works. I want to be rich in it. But notice finally, ready to what? Willing to what? Ready to what? Willing to what? Ready to, willing to, ready to, willing to, ready to, willing to. Okay, now based upon that, subject is ready to give, willing to share. Ready to give, willing to share. That's what I want to talk about this morning. Ready to give, willing to share. Notice that the Apostle Paul had to tell Timothy that you're going to have to command some who are rich not to be haughty. You're going to have to teach some of them who have abundance and are coming into abundance. You're going to have to teach them how to act. You're going to have to teach them not to be high-minded. You're going to have to teach them, Timothy, how they shouldn't think more of themselves than they should. Because I know some folk got a tendency when they start getting a lot to think more of themselves than they should. See, even if God is pouring out a lot, we should always remember who's doing the pouring. Come on, we should always remember that God is doing the pouring. And it should be to the point that the same way God is pouring it out on you, you should desire for him to pour it out on others. Come on. And you should not be haughty. You shouldn't. You shouldn't. I don't care what God has blessed you with. You shouldn't go around treating everybody as if you better than them because of what you have. Oh, that deserves a clap. We should never get to the point that because of the things we possess, we feel like we better than everybody else. Come on. But notice that he also says to him, teach him not to trust in riches. Teach him. Teach him. Teach him that it's okay to have money, but don't put all your trust in money. Come on. Okay to have a nice bank account, but don't think your bank account gonna get you out of everything. Don't think your bank account can do everything that need to be done in your life. You're gonna have to teach them, Timothy. You're gonna have to command them in these things. And seemingly it's to the point to where if Timothy doesn't teach it, and if he doesn't teach it right, they may not do it. Notice how important a pastor's job is. It is the job of a pastor to teach folk not just how to be blessed, but to teach them their responsibility in being blessed. Teach them why I gave them what I gave them. Teach them why I gave it to them in abundance, in overflow. Let him know, Pastor, why I put him in overflow. Because see, even God knows, and he sees us even when we're not around people. So sometimes you can play the humble. You can play the person that's not high-minded, but yet when you are by yourself, you change. Come on. But we don't want to be like that. We want to be people who are able to flow in abundance, but still give God the praise. Listen to me. Still do everything that he desires for me to do. See, again, the reason you got to teach it is because most folk think it's bad to be rich. Proverbs 10:22 said this: the blessing of the Lord makes one rich, and he adds no sorrow with it. You know the problem with a lot of us, even now, some of our problem is that we limit being rich to a certain amount of money. That's the mistake we make. We make the mistake of not looking at ourselves as being rich because we don't have a certain comma when it comes to our checking or our savings. But you're messing up because there are numerous definitions for what it is to be rich. And I want to let some of you know, if God has been blessing you, come on, Pastor, the way you say he's been blessing you all these years, how are you not rich? How are you? If God keeps blessing you, what the song say, over and over and over again, he's going to bring you to a place where you have abundance. Come on, don't get sad if you're not there. Because you could be in that early stage, again, where God is teaching you. He's molding you. Come on. But let's don't fight being rich. Let's don't fight being wealthy. Because some of us will say stuff like, well, I want to be able to help others. Well, how you going to do it if you ain't got nothing? How you going to do it if you always struggle? How you going to do it if every dime come in your hand got to go to bills? How can you take something and help others with their bills? Come on. See, eventually we got to get our mind to a place where we don't mind God blessing us however he chooses to do it. Come on. This is a good word because you can have a lot and remain humble. Listen, humble to the point to where you're always ready to give and you're always ready to share. Somebody shout always. Always. Shout always. Because again, that's my ultimate thing, is helping other people. Being good to people. Listen, and I'm talking about being good to people and it don't put no strain on you. I'm talking about being able to lend to people and you don't need it back in 48 hours. I mean, I'm talking about they come into and you tell, look, whenever you can, hit me up. When you get right, when you get in the place you need to be, then talk to me. Come on, that's a good place to be. Or either hand it to them, wait for them to give it back, then tell them you owe me nothing. Come on, they've been saving up to pay you back. You say, nah, we good. Come on, because some of us, we'll give to people. But if they don't mess around and get that money back Thursday, there's going to be some trouble at the house. You hunt them down. They done put you in a bind. They got you in a strain. You leave a message like, I know you see me calling you. I told you that with my car note money. I need my car. Man, that's all money I got. Man, give my money back, man. Am I right? Watch this. I'm trying to move on, but watch this. How do I know that's real? Because I've been there. I've been there where folks say, man, I need 100. And you like, God, all I got is a. Okay. But you like, oh, Jesus. See, God wants his people. I said he wants his people in a place to where we help him. And it ain't no strain. Come on. Get us to a place where we're not just blessing people. But listen, we blessing folk with good stuff. Blessing people, watch it, with the kind of stuff that you wear. Blessing them with things you like. Good things. Let me put a disclaimer out there, though. But you want to know folks on a certain level before you give them certain stuff. Now, the antithesis of being ready to give and being ready to share, the antithesis of it is to be stingy. Y'all gonna listen? When a person is stingy, he or she is unwilling to give. They are unwilling to share. Will y'all listen to me? You got a whole cake. Somebody bless you with a whole cake. 2 or 3 level whole cake. Circle cake. A person only wants a piece of your whole cake. And that angers you. Come on. You're going to eat the whole cake. And see, some folks looking at me like, what is my cake? But are you not willing to share? Now I understand if you done ate the whole cake and down to 1 piece. That's going to be a little tough on some of us. But I'm talking about starting out. No mind to share. Unwilling to give. See, because when the scripture talks about being ready to give, the word ready deals with a person who is eager to do it. Come on. I'm excited about doing it. See, just don't give, but be eager to do it. Be excited about what it is that you do. When it talks about having a willingness to share, willingness means I'm happy about doing it. I'm happy to share with you. Now, you would think sharing would be the subject that you only have to teach to small children. Come on. Because I mean, know if you're dealing with small children, not all, but most of them, man, you got to teach them the benefits of sharing. I'm looking at teenagers in here that struggle with it. I'm looking at adults that struggle. They're married folks struggle sharing. I say they struggle sharing. When it get cold, they known for pulling all the cover off. And have to be asked, hey, can you share the some? They are church people. Look, here's my problem. When I see a sinner more willing to give than a so-called Christian, I'm wondering about your salvation. I'm wondering about the God you say you serve. Why? Because you're stingy. And one thing I know about my God, he is not stingy. Look at your neighbor and say, God ain't stingy. Tell him he loves to give. Shout to somebody, God love to bless folk. God, I need some happy people that know one thing about God, he ain't stingy. If God was stingy, I wouldn't have what I got right now. Wouldn't be doing as good as I'm doing. Some of you better give God the praise. You would not be where you are if God was stingy. That I get happy with that. How many know God is not stingy? And see, so if we're striving to be like God, or if we're striving to please God, how can God not be stingy? But then as his child, that's what I'm operating in. See, something's not right. You hear me? Something not right. And listen, it could be that a person just hadn't been taught. I'm serious. Some of us didn't grow up in houses where we were taught to give, where we was taught to share. You know I'm right? Some people grew up in homes where they were taught, if you get something, you better hoard it. You better hide it from others. We didn't grow up in a house that was just teaching about giving. Didn't really see a lot of giving. Come on. And see, this principle is bigger than December. If the only time you want to give to folk is December, come on, you done missed the whole principle of giving. This ain't no December thing. Come on, how many of you give year round to folk? How many share year round? See, God is not, he's not stingy. That's when Paul said, Timothy, you're going to have to command them to give. You're going to have to command them who are rich, Timothy, not to be high-minded. You're going to have to command them, listen, or teach them to think of others. Think about others. When you get blessed, it ain't just about you. Think about somebody else. Come on. Some of us, our closets are overflowing and we ain't thought about it. We ain't thought about nobody. Only stuff we take off is stuff that need to be put in the trash. That's the only thing we give away. We give away what we don't want. Woo! I said we give away what we don't want. And just judging, I could be wrong, but just judging by how quiet it is this Sunday morning, guess what we got in our congregation? We got some stingy folk. When we used to go out to eat, I tell my wife, I said, look, you know how we do it now. You know, it's to the point where you just order what you want. So I got to clarify because it ain't always been that way. We go out to eat and look at each other like, you know. I don't care who you was out eating with. They got it. Would y'all like a? Oh no. We don't do appetizers. We don't do no appetizers. No. It ain't that I didn't want one. I could not afford one. Dessert ain't gonna be nothing left. We trying to get full. So what I would do, and I always say, look, order what you want. Get what you want. She said, I'm going to get this. And I said, well, I'm going to get the steak now. And I would get a 22 ounce, big old steak. Boy, that steak hit my plate. As soon as I grabbed that knife, she was like, now that do look good. They cooked that thing. Let me get a piece of it. And I used to be like, she had a good reason because she like, I didn't get one because I didn't want to be wasted. I ain't going to eat no big steak. I just want to pick. And when I was cutting that steak for her, it felt like I was cutting me. But guess what I do now? Every steak I order, the first piece, I cut it and I give it to sister. She don't even have to ask no more. Soon as they land, and most of the time she say, it's not that big. No, I just want to. I'm like, thank you. Sharing is something you must practice. If you don't practice sharing, you won't be good at it. You won't like doing, you won't get joy out of it because you rarely do it. You go into the refrigerator, hey, bring me a Sprite. Ain't but one left. Boy, you in a bind. But when you can be like, hey, you go ahead. I need some water anyway. Thank you. good to share. And then you got to begin to teach the blessing of giving and sharing. But see, if God is not stingy, and I'm striving to please him, then I don't want to be what God is not. If God is a giver, guess what Pastor Cochran always striving to be? A giver. I want to be just like my God. God blesses folk real good. Guess how I want to bless folk? Real good. Real good. Come on. But see, tell your neighbor, a wise man will strive to be like God. But tell your neighbor, a fool will never understand the blessing of giving and sharing. Listen to me, I'm almost done. A fool will never understand the blessing of giving and sharing. That's the reason in Luke 12, we have a parable of a rich man. That the Bible say his crops came in plentiful. Listen to me. So good that the man said, I don't have anywhere to store my crops. He let me build bigger barns, so I have somewhere to put all this stuff. And then when I build all these barns and put all my stuff I got. And if you look at Luke 12 and so forth, you'll see a lot of eyes in this parable. Because you're dealing with a man that only thought about himself. And then when I build them, I'm just going to eat, drink, and I'm going to be happy. But then God said to him that night, you fool. You fool. Say, this night, your soul will be required of you. And whose things do y'all understand me? See, he was only concerned not just with self, but hoarding up stuff. See, because Psalm 14:1 said, the fool has said in his heart dealing with your choices, there is no God. See, he was a fool, and he only thought of himself. When you have abundance, but you only think about yourself, you're a fool.
Thank you for watching A Word for Deliverance with Pastor Leonard Cochran of A Place of Refuge, Noonan. A Place of Refuge is located at 10 Fisher Alley in the city of Noonan, Georgia. If you would like to visit us, our worship times are every Sunday at 10:15 a.m. and Wednesdays at 7:15 p.m. To order today's message on CD, please call the church office at 770-252-3855 and reference the order number on the screen.